Hello and welcome to today's show. I absolutely love that intro. I'm not
proper bop into that then. It's awesome.
It's just the music's wicked. I just found it and it just went. So I swapped all the intros and just brought them into one. So it's just one intro for everything.
I was enjoying
life so much easier. So we have two updates. Some people might know, some people might not. This is going out on podcast. Every single recording we do from last Friday will go out on podcast. It's on Spotify, it's on Stitcher, it will be on Apple Podcast by the end of next week. They take about 2 weeks to sort everything out. You've got to make sure that what you're saying is legit, and it's a bit of a ball ache, but you get there in the end. So it's going on there via Podbean. Once the show is over, I literally download the audio, re-upload it onto podcast. So welcome to everyone who's watching on watching. God, you got some great eyes. Listening on podcast. So thank you for those who are already downloading it and listening. Really do appreciate it. Second update. So we are now part of a syndicate in the US, which is a network radio station type thing. So this is who we are going to be part of. It is the UNX Network Paranormal Radio. It is run by a guy called Race Hobbs. There's tons of other people that are on there. I think he said 22, 23 shows a week. So this is going to go out. I'm not sure if it's this one or next week's, but it's going to be going out at 10 p.m. US time. I don't know what time zone. I'm guessing it's EST. So this will go out again. And you've got people, you've got Peter Robbins that does one on there, Shannon LeGros. Anyway, I should have wrote the list down, but Drew probably knows more people who's on there than I do. I know, but I just cannot think because I've got just so much stuff going on in my head, and I'm so excited to do tonight's show. Also, we have guest co-host Ash Ellis from. Where are you from? Manchester.
From Manchester. On Pursuit of the Paranormal. Thanks for inviting me in.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on. And we have one of the most amazing guests. He's been on before, he's on again, and it is the wonderful Drew Bankey. Welcome to the show, and thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, congratulations on the KUNX. Yeah, got a lot of good people over there. And yeah, shout out to Race and Margie and everything running the show over there. So yeah, nothing but blessings for you over there and all that. And yeah, really excited for you, brother. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. Oh, amongst everything else that's going on, there's just so much, and there's a lot that I can't talk about. So it's so hard for me not to tell stuff. If you ever tell me a secret, don't, because it'll last like 30 seconds. I am the worst. Unless it's something really bad, then it's like, no, didn't even hear what you said. But if it's something exciting, I'm like, I've just got to tell people. Can't help it.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, so it's all good. So you've just sent me the link. Do you want to plug this podcast that you did in New York? Was it about 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah. So it's Locked In Podcast with Ian Bick, and it's on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And follow him on all the socials. Is you can find him by Ian Bick or Locked In. But the premise of this guy, he's I consider him a friend now, but he was a young teenager and ended up buying a nightclub. And within like 3 years of that, I think it was by like 23 or 24, he got caught up with the mob and all kinds of other stuff in like the New York, Connecticut area and all that stuff. And had a gambling problem and ended up going to federal prison. And he got out and eventually started this podcast, and it's become really popular. But it's based a lot around people that's been incarcerated, but it's overall it's about people's like redemption stories and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
and he has a lot of veterans. He's had veterans on there in the past. So, but yeah, check it out. Locked In with Ian Bick, and let's get the ratings up on it. So, we can get some viral videos out of this interview. It's gonna be a good one, man. It's
Do you want me to share the link that you sent me? Is that okay? Or
Sure, yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah, it's all public information. So
Right.
yeah, but he's growing really fast. He's got his 100,000 follower, pass subscriber plaque from YouTube and all that. But it was a really good one. But it was really weird because we were flying when I was flying there. The whole Trump thing happened while we were in flight, so it was just really surreal. It was like some out of a movie, like landing in LaGuardia at like 10 o'clock in the evening, and that whole thing happened. Basically while we were in flight from Denver to New York. So people like turn on their phones and like calling their family members, and everyone talking about this weird thing that happened. It was like something straight out of a movie.
Yeah.
And then going into like one of my biggest interviews I've ever had, like, and trying to figure out, because you're on the plane, and before any interview, even every interview, you're always thinking, okay, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to mention? What's on my mind? And that happened right before the day before a really big interview. It's like, oh my god, like how can you not mention this?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about that? What are your thoughts on the shooting? Do you think it was a 20-year-old kid? Was it someone on the water tower?
And there's a lot of things. I listened to this interview, and it's on this podcast, and they were talking to the founder of Blackwater, Blackwater is like a private contracting group that runs in Iraq, and it's basically its own military, but it's private. It's a private military contractors, and I worked alongside him when I was in Iraq, especially in 2005 and stuff like that. But they interviewed the owner, the CEO of that guy, and on his thoughts on just the Trump assassination attempt. And man, I always I've gotten this conversation over the past couple weeks, but I want to put the disclaimer out. It's not political. Like, my thoughts on this is strictly like what I've heard or what I know about it, because I'm not political. I think it's all the same thing anyways, any political organization, whether it's over here in the States or over there in the UK, it's all, it's all corrupt. I think, we have Republicans and Democrats, and I think it's all just the same thing anyways. But there's a lot of interesting facts. There's a 146 yard, for one, it's a 146 yard shot that the kid made. It was like 6 shots. So, and let's just break it down. A 20-year-old bested the Secret Service of the United States, the organization that's prime objective is, for one, it was built around like currency and counterfeit, but it's secondary and more well known, like thing that the Secret Service is supposed to do is protect the president and high-ranking officials and stuff like that. So another interesting fact: 146-yard shot, which for the military, just going through basic training in the normal military in the United States military, you have a 300-yard shot as the range goes out 500 meters or 500 yards or whatever, 100 yards, 150, and then 300. That's to qualify just for basic training. So you're talking about a target that's well within just normal basic training that, millions of people go through every year in the United States military. That bubble that the Secret Service had, it's very apparent that that security bubble was not large enough. That security bubble should have been large enough to cut out most weapons, let alone, an AR-15, which is a reasonably short range weapon. There's a lot of other weapons, rifles that could have been took that shot well further back than 146 yards. There was 6 Secret Service agents tasked to Trump that day at an outdoor event, and that was his personal body. Those are the guys that are supposed to take a bullet for you. All the ones that are around him. His body protection. There was 6 people on that body protection, and the same day, Joe Biden's wife, the first lady, she was at an event in Pennsylvania, and it was she had 12 agents on her security detail, and she had an indoor event.
Wow.
So going back to Trump, his 6 agents that were on his body detail, 2 of them, and maybe even only 1 of them, were actually bona fide Secret Service agents. There was 4 of them that was HIS, which is Department of Homeland Security agents. Those are probably the females that couldn't get their weapons holstered. That just made the Secret Service look really, really bad for the next 100 years.
You just bought them off Wish.
You can't even get your weapon holstered. But come to find out, at least 4 of those body security on the body security detail for Trump that day was tasked over from Department of Homeland Security. So they weren't actually Secret Service agents.
Wow.
And then there's other details. The kid flew a drone that day over the site. That's become public knowledge. That's an embarrassment for anyone running a security detail that's protecting the president. That's an embarrassment.
Surely that's a no-fly zone straight away.
Anything. When I was in Iraq, I'm only speaking from speaking from what I've heard and what's been kind of put out in public knowledge, and my own personal knowledge of stuff. Like when I was in Iraq, I was part of a personal security detail, so we transported protectees, high-ranking officials from point A to point B, and when we would go to meetings, we would be there with them in meetings. So there was times when we would have to go into buildings, have to clear out buildings and everything, and make sure they were secure. And we would have bubbles pretty large bubbles, because we had to think about RPGs and stuff like that in 2005 in Baghdad. But there's just common things that were overlooked that don't make any sense. And then come to find out, there's a phone that was pinged that visited this kid's house, and this same phone went back and commonly visited an office in Washington, D.C. So there's no other details to that of what the office was or who the owner of that phone is yet. Those details haven't come out. I don't know if they ever will, but those details have come out that there's a phone that's been pinged that has visited. And we're talking over a year and a half. And there's I don't want to misspeak on it, but there's probably 20 visits or something like that over a year and a half time.
Wow.
and it's a cell phone that was visited this kid's house. And so there's information coming out every day, and you know, the more it comes out, the more it seems like a freaking movie, dude. Like, especially how it started with me. It started at LaGuardia Airport with me, like this whole saga.
Not having a clue what was going on.
Yeah, but
No.
was it a political move? I don't know. Was it a setup? I don't know. Was it outside country? Was it a terrorist event? I don't know. Was it CIA? I don't know. All I know is there's a lot of weird facts that are coming out about it. And that's the bottom line. There's a lot of weird facts that are coming out about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was why I wanted to ask you about it, because like you was doing that and it was a big thing, especially for you lot in America. And I've not really spoke to anyone about it. But like you said, with all the different stuff that's coming out about what went on, it's like, it's just everything's just 1-on-1 makes 30B or something. It's not even, do you know what I mean? It's just messed up.
Who knows, man? I mean, the whole world is going through this thing where it's exciting to wake up and look at the news in the morning, because you know, one day we find out aliens are real, the other day we find out, you know, all the world governments are messing around with consciousness, and then we have an assassination attempt that hasn't happened, you know, since Reagan.
Yeah,
and
1981, I think it was that one.
I'm not sure. And then we had the shoe incident where they threw the shoe at Bush, and when he was speaking in Iraq, you know, but yeah, nothing to this extent. And living in this time is, you know, we're living in history, you know, and I think ultimately all this is a message from, you know, the universe, like to make us open our eyes and like, okay, like you are living in history. What other weird ass shit has to be, you know, manifested in your timeline for you to understand that you're going through a crazy time, you know?
Yeah, so, like we've not had enough in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
We've got to be careful what we word stuff as well. So, but it's just everyone's trying to blame it on is it Mercury retrograde? So we're blaming the planet now. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. You know, all that I stay in is excitement, because I do know something is going on. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, you call it awakening or whatever. Like, for me personally, you know, every day is a journey, you know, and so I know that the overall collective of this planet is going through the same thing. You know, we're all going through a journey together, and we're all, I guess it's the question is how you're going to interpret, you know, your experiences from moment to moment, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, who knows?
Yeah. I think at the moment I'm just switching off from everything that's going on and just carrying on doing what I'm doing. And it's great. It's like, I'm saying that now, it's like, come back tomorrow, same time, we've got a completely different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're allowed to change our mind too, you know?
I know.
A big thing I've been learning lately is compassion, you know, for myself too. You know, that's a big thing, you know, just, you know, take an extra 2 minutes in the shower. Like, even if you got, you know, a family, you know, and this, that, and the other, and all these responsibilities, take an extra 2 minutes in the shower. Just let the water run over you, close your eyes or something like that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, take a spa day or something, you know, like, be compassionate to yourself. You know, that's a lot of us overlook it, especially in the spiritual journey. We try to take care of others, and we overextend ourselves, and we're forgetting that without this machine being taken care of, with all of it, mind, body, spirit, you know, the Holy Trinity all together, is you know, that's what we have to focus on that too, because it's part of the universe as well. So we have to honor ourselves, not in, egotistical way, but in, a higher conscious way of doing it.
Yep, definitely. Right, Ash, I've been accused of ignoring you. So
I was enjoying it. I was enjoying the. It's
I know.
all new to me, really.
Yeah,
So I was
I just thought better bring you in. So have you got any questions for Drew?
I was just sort of going on a point, sort of saying about this period we're living through. I think maybe when we look back, kind of in the future, looking back on this time, especially the past 4 years or so, there's a lot of division right now. I think is that purposeful? In the UK and the US, seems to be a lot more division now than there was 20, 30 years ago. Just like we kind of had like the technology after the Second World War, had this big leap in technology that's kind of brought the world closer together. And now it seems the past 5 years, especially, they're now kind of being divided again. It's like there's a lot more division. So whether it's like we are in this new period that started, say, 2020 onwards, where we're going to see division, and this is just the start of it with race and politics, that sort of thing, and that's just going to spread further. And then this is, like I say, this is just the start of it now with all the politics stuff, is how they kind of embed it. And then in 20 years, we can't even imagine what that division is going to be, because it's going to be something that we don't even think about. But when we look back in, say, 100 years, it'll be, this was the start of the world not being a collective anymore. They've gone back to being separate, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, it's don't worry about it too much, and the spirits will tell you this, and going to meditation, they'll tell you this, but let me break it down. Why? The question is why. People want to know why. They need to have an answer why not to worry about it. Think about how fast things can change. On September 10th in 2001, like the world was, going about their day to day. Then the morning of September 11th, the trade centers got bombed, and here in the United States and worldwide, they all come together, and there was so much sympathy and outpouring. Like, so if energy is real, and we all know energy is real and effective. So it was effectively like a mass meditation that happened that was focused basically on the United States, and a lot of people envision the flag when they think about the United States or whatever, just weird shit like that. But that's all of a design anyway. But that just goes to prove you how fast things could change. Like we're the public, our governments, both the UK, American governments, and other governments are coming out and have come out since started in 2017 or so when they first started releasing the TikTok videos. So, and there's a narrative they're trying to push of that we need to put a space force up, because we have to defend ourselves. So, there's a lot of talk of, a false narrative invasion of ET and stuff like that. But there was a president, I forgot what the president was, but he got a famous quote, and I can't do it word for word. Maybe you could find it, Andy. But it's one of the greatest existential threats or whatever is if we how fast we would come together as a man or as a planet, like if we're facing a threat from outside source or whatever, basically like ET source. But I don't, that could be a way of uniting the planet. And that's really what we need to do as a planet. We need to look at ourselves as one planet, one tribe, and even past that, we need to look, even our visitors that are here are our relatives. We're basically looking at timelines that are broken down in between dimensional fields and stuff. But the overall message from the spirits, and I agree with them, is not to worry. Like everything happens. Thank you, baby with a laser. That's scary. That's scary. That's we should go down that rabbit hole. But let's hold off for that for a minute. But Ronald Reagan said that. But overall, don't worry about it. I've got tons of messages on my path over the years, and I used to go out on hikes, and I used to pick up trash all the time, and it got to the point where I'd only maybe a mile or two, or or a kilometer or two, just give you perspective. A hike, I would go and come back with a big bag of trash. I would pick up everything, and it was taken away from my experience in nature. And finally, the spirits come to me in a dream, without provocation, and like, look, you just worry about yourself. Just worry your universe. Start in the center, and then worry on out. But because the planet's been through this many, many times, this is a cycle we're going through. So on the grand scheme of things, we're going through a small, very, very speck, a millisecond of the grand scheme of things. So if you look at it like that, you can start to see the lessons in the moment. But if you're stuck in the 3D with, horse blinders on, you're only like looking at what's in front of you, and you're processing it from a 3D aspect. This can be a very scary time. But, for me, I see it as a very exciting time. Like, we're living through a prophetic time, and there's so many things that are pointing to this, that we're living through this as we speak right now. And I think a lot of us, as we were kids, either watching, X-Men or whatever it is, that or reading biblical text or spiritual text. I think a lot of our questions in our minds as kids, especially the people that are alive right now, taking part in manifesting this reality, they question what it would be like to live through a time like that. Well, that's being answered, but you're actively living through it. So we're living through a time when that's going to be talked about for a long time to come after this.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. You mentioned there about spirits coming to you, or like giving these messages to you. Just what sort of go into detail about that? What you mean by that?
So in 2016, I'm a veteran with PTSD and did 2 tours in Iraq in 05, 07, seen heavy combat in 07, and had a suicide attempt in 2014. And from 2014 to 2016, I was heavily involved with the VA, and it just wasn't helping me, to the point where, I was getting kind of scared for my own safety again. And about that time, ayahuasca come into the conversation. Had a friend that was a veteran, went down to Peru. He come back, and he was just a totally different person. And, couldn't stop talking about ayahuasca. So it triggered me to do a lot of investigation, looking into it. And, just end up doing a ceremony eventually. And then, being opened up to a totally different reality. So up until that point, I'm 44 now. That was when I was 36, but up until 36, I was, if anyone asked me my belief, I believe that there was something else out there. Did I care about it? No. Did I care about knowing about it? No. And I didn't care about understanding it. I didn't care about communing with it or anything, but I knew there was something more, but I just didn't care what it was. But really got shown in no on certain terms in 2016 in that second ayahuasca ceremony. And I speak about it in several other interviews in much greater detail. But, ever since then, kept doing ceremonies with ayahuasca, and eventually with other, psychedelic plants and non-psychedelic native ceremonies like the Sundance and Uwupi ceremony and things like that. But done several ceremonies with peyote in very traditional settings, with songs from sun up to sundown in the teepee with a water drum, and held by very distinguished medicine people, especially in the peyote and all medicine circles. So I just had a really, I wouldn't call it luck, but the universe put a lot of interesting people in my path, and allowed me to experience a lot of things and different ceremonies, which in turn opened me up to a lot of different experiences. I had my didn't have my first UFO experiences or sightings until after ayahuasca. So that, just, I believe it just opens you up to different realities. And once you start to go down these rabbit holes of different realities, it opens up other possibilities. And I just keep going down them.
Yeah. So when 'cause I was going to talk about psychedelics and that, but obviously not just that. So when you've had, or you've gone into had this stimulation and you've gone into these dimensions, have you then been able to go back to these places without having anything?
Sure. First, it's kind of spotty at first, but
Yeah.
now it's normally in dream state. So normally when I'm sleeping, and if I
Yeah.
need to check in or anything like that, it'll or just ask before I go to sleep normally, and whether it be with like a joint or tobacco. I don't smoke tobacco, and if I do, it's normally for that reason. Like I'll just take a few puffs before I go to sleep,
Yeah.
and as I'm doing it, I'll think in my mind like whatever, or verbalize it, to the stars or something like that. And that's always been a really valid connection for me, and what is most comfortable for me. Honestly, going into a heavy psychedelic ceremony, it's uncomfortable. So, the most comfortable way for me to connect and with the least amount of anxiety is in dream state. So,
Yeah. So do you, because I know you spoke about this before, but do you find now that you have more control over what you dream about?
I don't think I have control over what I dream about. I wouldn't say it like that. I would be more, I become more aware faster in the dream state, and able to use that for, for whatever I need to for
Yeah.
in that moment, whatever I'm going through, personal struggle right then, whatever it be, or whatever I want to try to figure out. Becoming aware in the dream state, that's a big jump for somebody to take a dream from just a dream to it being a lucid dream, because lucid dreams is basically ones that we come back or that we're in, and we become aware that we're in a dream while we're there. And that's been used all over time. And I think, just till recently, just over the past, 50 to 100 years, it's becoming less and less trusted as messages. If you go back 100 years and you ask someone about a dream, if they had a dream, they're applying it to their life. They're dissecting it. They're trying to figure out what it means.
Yeah.
Do I need to plant corn here? Do I need to go bear hunting, or, whatever? It all comes from like dreams. But the more we get hooked to, I'm guilty of it, just being who I am and trying to get my message out. I use this vehicle. But where it also disconnects me, and I think the psychedelics do a large part in any things that raise your vibration, meditation, cold plunges. It doesn't have to be psychedelics, but psychedelics are very, their track record is pretty good, and for the most part, they're reasonably safe. There's records, there's people that die during ceremonies and things like that. There was just I talk about the Sundance, and I think I've talked about the Sundance last time I was on here a little bit, the 4-day ceremony without food and water, dancing sun up to sundown in the Parising. There's just a gentleman that passed away just over this past week up in South Dakota on the reservation during that ceremony. So it's very eerie, because it was very similar to when I had my near-death experience. It was very similar to that story of what happened during that. So, a lot of prayers for him. 29 years old, and he just pushed it too hard, and but ultimately I always fall back onto the belief that everything happens for a reason. I know his family, his mom, dad, things like that, they don't want to hear that right now, but ultimately, they're gonna find their lesson out of this somewhere, through that grief. And grief's a very powerful teacher, but we all go through it, especially, when we get into our 30s, 40s, 50s, we lose people really close to us, our parents, and, and then we start losing friends, family, as time goes on. And man, you talk to people in their 60s, 70s years old, and they'll tell you grief has taught the biggest lessons of their existence.
Yeah. No, I get that, because I've been there, and it's not the best feeling, but when you come out the other side, it's you see things differently. It does. It does open your eyes.
Sure.
So
So
do you find then that by doing this, if you visualize, not so much what you want, but if you visualize your future of how you want it to go, do you think that has a massive do you think that has a big impact on someone to doing it to not doing it? Do you get what the comparison?
For sure. Yeah. Visualization of what you want to happen is a big part of it. And verbalization is another big part of it. So if you can visualize it, and actually, Conor McGregor, the famous UFC fighter, he was doing an interview, and when he first started getting famous, and he was talking about, he did an interview before his fight, and he was talking about the other guy was gonna go with a certain hand or whatever, a certain punch. He was gonna duck it and go with his right hand or whatever and hit him at a certain point in his chin, and that's exactly how it happened, but he said this pre-fight in an interview. And so the guy that interviewed him, asked him, how are you doing? What's going on with this? He's like, and I totally agree with this, but he put it just so beautifully. He's like, if you can visualize it and then have the balls enough to verbalize it, those two actions, because basically, if you think about it in your mind, those of us that have been accused of daydreaming and things like that when we were a kid. Even now, I do it now. I'm a daydreamer now.
Oh yeah.
But I visualize stuff all the time, and then the more I visualize it, the more I talk about it, and the quicker it comes, And I'm currently trying to talk about and visualize a vacation to Puerto Rico, just simple things like that, but not any big things, but just little things. But I totally agree with it. Because if you think about it, everything that we're talking on, like this microphone, the computer, everything, it was an idea in someone's head, and they visualized it, and they're like, okay, we're going to put a wire here. We're going to need this here and that, and some of it comes from trial and error afterwards. Things evolve. We need a internal fan to blow across the connectors in the back of a fan, or we need more vents here or whatever. I'm just talking breaking down little decisions about a computer, but all those things were visualized in someone's head. They have to be you can't just an artist doesn't just doesn't free flow something on a paper. Most of the time they're seeing it in their heads, and they're like, okay, I gotta paint this, or someone writing a book or writing a song or anything. They're thinking about it in their head before it comes out. And I think that's the key to manifestation, and also verbalizing it. And you believing it can happen.
Yeah. This is what we said last time, and a couple of the other guests had pretty much the same conversation, but I love how deep that this goes. It's like you visualize it, you then literally you've created it. And then, like you said, with the microphone, it's you're inventing something that has never been seen or used before, and it's becoming an actual physical object. Then the next step is getting it to work and do what you want it to do. And this is what I've been saying the last few weeks is when you talk, when you're putting the intent into it with saying things, it's spell casting. As when you spell, you're spelling something. So you're spelling a word, you're saying it with intent, you're creating a what's it called? It's gone. I can't think what the name is. Please, somebody out there. You're manifestation. Yeah, your manifestation. So you're creating it. It's gonna become if it's an object, it's going to become a physical object. If it's an action, you're physically going to go out and do it because you have to put the intent in. But it's with the spelling, the spell casting. 100% believe. I didn't understand this years ago, but now tulpa, that's it. You're creating a tulpa because it has to have that intent, and then you make it real. It becomes real, and it becomes part of your reality. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be part of anyone else's reality. If it's something direct to you and it's not a physical item, then you're creating that for you or the people around you for whatever reason. But if you're
when you can get two particles, so like think of us as particles of source.
Yeah.
You know, when you can get two particles of source to agree and both verbalize the same thing, then it starts to magnify. And then the more and more people, that's where the knowledge, and I see in a post just like an hour or so before this interview that's perfect for this. And it talks about like, I just lost it.
It matters me. The world's worst. Sorry if that's my fault.
Anyways,
I do apologize.
But the mind's very, very powerful, and we need to think about that more. We need to think about how we can use that. The post was about the magicians that control us by our thoughts, and in turn those thoughts are used to control us and everything. And I talked about this last time that, once you see it, it's hard to unsee it. Once you understand, the Pledge of Allegiance or, anything like that, that's basically, a mantra that you're giving energy to, this flag or thing or whatever. And once you see it, it's hard to unsee it, and, there's a lot of people that accuse me of being, unpatriotic or this, that, and the other. No, I am patriotic, but I'm patriotic to a different cause. This is my donkey. Let me give him time.
You're not even kidding, are you?
Let me give him time to speak. But if you want to see pictures of my donkey and my horse and everything, go over to my Facebook, like it and give me a follow and all that. But there's pictures of my donkey and stuff on there, so you can see what's making this noise periodically through all these different interviews I do all the time.
You know what it's doing? I've got to say it. So Jesus, it's asking about.
He's being a pisser.
Let that go.
He's being a pisser.
Wow. When you said it's your donkey, I thought it was like. Just thought it was your dog making a strange noise.
No, it's straight up donkey, dude. It's straight up donkey. It's his name's Lokai.
That's so cool.
So Lokai is also the name of the donkey that carried Jesus into Bethlehem. So that's why we named him Lokai.
Cool. So you've just got the one.
Yeah, we had two. So we have a horse, we have a donkey, and we have a mule, and then we have two goats and a cat. and
Wow.
we got 2 greenhouses and a garden, and we're on
Yeah.
solar and all that stuff. So
You got everything going on.
yeah, all this right now that we're talking on is all powered by solar, and it's not doing too great today. This is a cloudy day, which is very rare for Colorado, but it's just a rainy day today.
So at least you've got it working. It's all up and running and manifestation again. There you go. But
Yeah,
that's what's keeping it going.
well, I love having my studio set up here. This is part of that show from Homestead Rescue. So this is part of that reality show. They built this cabin and stuff. So I love being in here because it's a constant reminder of, how crazy things can be, just being on a rally show and going from, just being a normal homestead out here in the middle of nowhere to being on a reality show on Discovery Channel, and this being a part of all that. I'm actually setting in it, and I was part of building it too. So, I took part in the building process and all that.
Yeah. So how long did that run?
The filming of it?
Yeah.
I think it was like 9 days of filming.
Right.
7. No, it was 9 days of construction total. I think 7 days of filming altogether or whatever. They had 2 days that they weren't filming, but they were here working. So there was 2 construction days that they weren't filming.
Wow.
Yeah, but they did a lot. This whole thing I'm sitting on top of. Underneath me. There's 2 40-foot shipping containers. They're spread 12 foot apart. Then there's a roof over top of it, and then this cabin is sitting on top of that roof. So I'm actually sitting on top of my horse stable and all that. And
that's so cool.
Yeah,
that's where I was, somewhere like that. Yeah, if you used to do that in the UK, it'd be like, right, give it back. First, obviously you've stole it, and secondly, why would you be living like that?
The council will be knocking on your door like, what's this?
It's like you're making a mess. Get it cleared out. Honestly, it would be that bad.
We're on 5 acres here, so we have multiple different pastures that the horses graze in, especially like it's summertime, here. So, and there's all around us. You can see mountains.
Wow.
And here's a window here, and then window over there.
Oh, so there's a lot of light coming in.
Oh yeah. So it's middle of the day here, so it's only 2:18 right now.
Yeah. That's nothing. It's like nearly 10 o'clock here, isn't it? Something 9:20.
Isn't it weird? We're like, it's almost like we're in different dimensions.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, think about like, what does different dimensions mean? People think it means has to mean a certain thing, but like, I've talked about this before on other interviews a lot, but with dog whistles, like a dog whistle, can be made and that noise can be there, but we can't hear it. Yeah. And that's just one example of one of our senses having things outside of our range of sensing. And if you really look at all of our senses, sight, sound, smell, blah, 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 and then we get into the other senses, 6 sense, 7 sense, the other senses that we have, telepathy, telekinesis, those things that we just start, getting synchronicities a lot and things like that. But, there's all those senses. We're seeing a small fraction of the range that we can see, That's when you take enough mushrooms, you take 3 grams of mushrooms and go walking through the woods, you start seeing things jumping behind trees and things like that. Are they there? Are they not? Who the hell knows?
It.
But
are you then widening your range of sight and vision by doing that? I
think so. I don't think it's I don't think there's a hallucination. I don't think that's real. I
Right.
think a hallucination is a hallucination. I think the word itself is made up, because I think it's one of those things that is put into our vocabulary and understanding to explain things that we can't explain. So it makes it, so we don't think about it in depth. So we don't sit there and have these in-depth conversations like coincidence. There's no coincidences. I think everything's lined up exactly how it's supposed to. I think, when things happen, coincidences are meant to, the word is meant for us to dispel things, magic happening in our lives.
Yeah.
So in that case, if, for example, people see aliens or other creatures, is that just because they're not visible in our normal kind of spectrum? So they are there all the time, we just can't see them because they're outside.
I believe that. Yeah, I think
range.
I think this whole spiritual evolution that is governed by rules, and there's universal rules that govern this, every action that the universe goes through. So even this, like the evolutionary transformation of humanity on a large scale is governed by rules, and one of those rules that is very poignantly followed is free will. And so stepping into this path of understanding and remembrance, or whatever you want to call it, whether it be learning or remembrance, I look at it as more as a remembrance, that we're remembering a bunch of things, because I don't see our timeline as linear. I see it kind of circular and moving in circles and phases.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think we're definitely going through it. I think we're going through this awakening, and I think it's only going to speed up, but it's governed by a certain few rules. And one of the main ones is free will. So you have to choose to go through it. So once you start into it, I think that's, because once the ayahuasca hit me and everything, and once I started understanding what the ayahuasca was trying to tell me and seeing spirits, I kind of asked, like, what else is there, And that's what got me, I kept asking for the truth. I kept asking to see more and more and more, going into ceremonies. And the ceremonies would be mostly about my own healing, what I needed to dig out, going through childhood trauma, whatever, trauma, PTSD trauma from Iraq or whatever. But there would always be a point when, the ayahuasca would be like, okay, I give you one question, whatever you want to know. And I always, after a while, I would have one ready. I'd have a really good one ready that would have a lot of layers to it, and I would know that already. So it'd just be like talking to a really intelligent person, a super, super intelligent person, and you could ask them once you got it. Basically, she's a therapist. Ayahuasca is like a therapist. And once I got done with my therapy question, she gave me a chance to ask her, pull a question out of a hat,
I'm just trying to understand, like, you talk about the ceremony and stuff like that. I'm just trying to understand kind of the process. Can you kind of talk us through just that process of going into that dream state and kind of visualize it for us a little bit, what you see, what you feel?
Yeah, it's slightly different with depending on what ceremony you're going through, but with ayahuasca, it starts coming on slow. You drink the medicine. So ayahuasca is traditionally a liquid brew, mainly with the Mysterious Cappy, which is the ayahuasca vine, and that holds the spirit of ayahuasca, and that grows traditionally down in Peru, Colombia, and South America. It can grow, and does grow in southern Florida, and Hawaii. There's a lot of farms that they're growing it in, but traditionally it grows, in the jungle and very moist climates, things like that. But the vine is Mysterious Cappy, and that normally grows up a tree. And then there's normally the traditional blend of ayahuasca is made with chacruna. So that's the other plant that's involved in the brew of ayahuasca, and that is normally a bush that grows in the vicinity of the vine. So in the same vicinity of the vine growing, there'll be a bush, and that the name of that bush is called chacruna, and that holds a very high volume of dimethyltryptamine. There's several plants around the world that hold dimethyltryptamine in them, which is 4-N-dimethyltryptamine, which is the visionary, the visionary vehicle of ayahuasca. And also a lot of people have experience of smoking just straight dimethyltryptamine, which, they report back of holographic scenes, machine elves, very symmetrical shapes, a lot of different colors. Ayahuasca can be very similar to that, but lots of times with ayahuasca, it's the medicines drank over maybe one or two, maybe even 3 times throughout the night. Songs are sung. It's very ceremonial setting, and the visions can be very similar to a straight DMT trip, but a lot of times there's, along with the geometric shapes, there's, visions of Egypt, or, talking to spirit animals, and that could either be straight up visually speaking, like a spirit comes to you, like the spirit of a jaguar come to you, like the face of a jaguar will appear, and then it'll start giving you messages either verbally, so you actually hear them in your mind, like in your meditation or mind's eye, or you won't have the visual part of it. You just have the verbal part of it. Maybe you have both, but with ayahuasca, it comes on slowly, it peaks, and then it goes kind of slowly. So it lasts, the ceremony can last anywhere from 4, 6, 8 hours. They can be shorter ceremonies depending, if you're with someone and they give you like a large cup, and so the ceremony would be reasonably short, couple hours at that point. Your peak and stuff like that quicker. There's other versions of it. There's a changa, which is a smokable form of ayahuasca. So the same components that are in traditional ayahuasca, it's just prepared in a different way and then smoked. That onset's very quick, and that's it's the breakthrough. Sometimes people drinking ayahuasca take a few ceremonies before they can actually have a breakthrough where they actually speak to spirits or things like that. But with changa, it's much more guaranteed that they're going to have a breakthrough. And then there's other things, like peyote. That's a whole different story of how that's ingested. The ceremony is very, very the traditional ceremony for peyote, it differs from tribe to tribe, but depending on what Native American tribe you're setting with, there's different protocols. There could be, you could be served the medicine 3 times during the night. You could be served it 4 times. The way that the fire is set up in the teepee could be, it could be a heart, it could be a half a moon, it could be a star. So depending on what tribe and what lineage you're setting with, there's differences in that. So, this could be, breaking down each one of them. They're all done different, but there are, things to remember in all of them is your breathing and letting go. Anyone that's been in a really heavy or any psychedelic ceremony, it's about letting go. And even just meditation, without any psychedelics at all, like that's a hard part to get past. That's why a lot of people these days, instead of going the traditional route of, breathing and meditating for years before they can actually get a full-on breakthrough, they're, skip ahead and do a breakthrough with psychedelics and then go back to meditation. It's because then you can feel, you can, in your meditation, you can get to that space a lot quicker because you can feel what it feels like to let go, and you're not going to die, things like that. That's the hard part about letting go in anything like that. It's a fear of really dying that's overshadowing you in the background.
Yeah. I've just had a thought. This is for Ash. I think we should do an experiment in your basement.
God.
Are you ready? Should I say it? Do you want me to tell you now or later?
Yeah, no, yeah, no.
No. I think we should do DMT in your basement and film it.
Oh my God.
Right. So I did that paranormal road trip a few weeks ago. I met up with Ash a couple of times. So we went out and we was doing some filming and that, and then we went for something to eat, and then we went back to Ash's. Now he lives where he lives, the basement. It's like it was one big house, and then it split into two, and now it's like a block of apartments.
Yeah.
But the basement covers both blocks. Massive, loads of little different rooms. We was in there. So I'm just reading one of the comments in there. Not a chance for him. That is not happening. That'd be like the worst trip ever. And if my cousin's watching, I'm not even going to apologize to you because you know it's a fact. So we was in there and we was filming. I was using my night vision goggles, and Ash he felt someone touch him on his back, and we got this image that my cousin took. And you can see like 3 spoon-like fingers across the back. That was straight after he felt like he got pushed. So we know there's activity in there. And just as I was listening to what you were saying then, Drew, about the different like stages that you can go through and how you perceive it and all that, I thought, why not? Because he's shit scared of his basement. He will go anywhere on his own, no matter what, but he doesn't like going in his basement.
Not even in the daytime.
No. So why don't we do it in the basement?
These things show up on drugs tests.
Yeah.
DMT?
No, you always have it in your body.
You already have it.
You already have it
in your body.
Every living creature, whether it's an animal, human, plant, whatever, contains DMT. If you was to test it now for DMT, you'd be banged up. Honestly, that's why they never test you for DMT, because it's like up there.
I don't even know if there's a test. I've never really even heard if there was a test for DMT, but if it is,
you couldn't.
It'd be super expensive. And we already have it. Like we make it in our body, like, and we store it. We store it in our brains. We store it in our lungs. Like, because we're looking through like our lenses that we're looking through. You know, we're constantly, if you look closely, like if you look at through a magnifying glass at someone like looking at anything, we're constantly dilating, open, closing our eyes, and we're looking through basically shards of crystal. Like we have crystals in our body, and this is starting to become scientific fact. Like Google it, go down that rabbit hole. But we have crystals in our body. We have crystals in it. We have shards of crystals like in our basically also our brain. That's what helps the electricity move around. That's part of our receptors. That's part of our body. And these are things and facts that are not being talked about in an open forum to a point. But the information's out there if you just start looking for it, you know. And I guess my part of my mission is to just mention these things so people can start Googling this stuff, you know, and then come back and give me a follow and buy a book, you know, to say thank you to me. But, you know, these things, you know, I wish that your friend that was a midwife, I wish she was on here, because there's things about lotus births, like the way that we're birthed in a diabolical way, and it's a disconnection. It's a disconnection from your source, like the umbilical cord being cut. I don't know if I mentioned this on the last show, but I talked about lotus births. Lotus births are a thing, and you know, like my last child, we had a delayed cut, so we let the stem cells and everything transfer through the umbilical cord from the placenta to my youngest Ember. I think it was like 20 minutes they allowed us before we could cut, but that's a lot. That's a lot more than most people get. I'm sure it's a lot more than I got being born in 1980. I'm sure I was, popped out and cut right away. And all those, those 45 minutes or the hour or 45 minutes, they call it like the golden hour, that placenta should be attached to the baby, because there's a lot of codes, spiritual codes, energetic codes, along with chemical codes, and medicines and things like that gets transferred, that is signaled to get transferred after birth. So this is even the way that we're birthed and made to think that this is the way it's supposed to be. It's all of a design to separate us from source. And I'm here to point it all out, man, and to open up the question in people's minds, like, what's really going on? Like,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Never heard anyone say that before. I've never even thought about that before.
Well, it's also, so there's energetic. So one of the things about free will, and one of the other laws that govern the universe, is no being will interrupt the path of another being, or knowingly interrupt the path of another being. And so that being, like the doctor or the nurse or the father, whoever's cutting that umbilical cord, they're violating a universal law,
right?
Because they're cutting, and they don't even know they're doing it, but they're actually violating a universal law that governs the whole entire universe, not just our planet, everything that's ever been in creation and ever was. There's 4 laws that govern this. I talk about it in my very first book. And one of them is free will. One of them is won't interrupt the path of another being. All is one and one is all. That's one of the other laws.
Yeah.
So understanding that you are part of everything around you, that's one of the other laws. Can't remember the 4th one right now, but it's in my first book. But those 4 laws, if those are violated, there's all types of things that go along with it. You don't go to spiritual jail or anything, but you have to acknowledging the laws is the very first thing to rectify all that. But almost every single one of us, if your parents didn't do a lotus birth on you, you started out this journey behind the 8 ball. You started out this journey with things to work through before you even knew it. And that's a lot of us, our childhood trauma starts at birth from being disconnected from our source. And we spend our lives trying to reconnect back to it. And reconnecting back to it, sometimes, well, I think the point of it is reconnecting back in a spiritual way to source.
Yeah. It's finding that, like you said, finding that way to reconnect to it. And it's not something that you can do overnight, is it? It's
not something you can read about. You got to experience it. You got to experience.
You've got to go out and do
something, and that's where, more and more of us are coming out and saying, okay, I had a near-death experience. A lot of people had near-death experience and don't even realize they've had it, because the whole death process is very confusing. Lots of times people are very confused when they die. And you talk to people that report back from near death. I've experienced it too, but the experience is super confusing, because I didn't even know it was happening until someone said, he doesn't have a breath, no pulse. Someone called 911 and then it clicked, but, and that's when I, realized that what was happening to me in that moment. I thought I was just kind of like laying there, but I come to find out this is a well talked about part of the experience that's very confusing, because energy never dies. Like a lot of things that are told to us through our lifetimes and growing up is real, and a lot of it's the opposite. The word blasphemy and stuff like that, not recognizing that you're part of God is working against us. Recognizing that you are part of God and everything around you is, I think that's the mindset where we need to get to and understand. The tricky part is some people stop before they get to the point of understanding everything around them is, and they form a cult and, this, that, and the other. But the part I think where we're at is human evolution is understanding we're a particle of God, just like the cells in our body is part of our body, but they don't hold different names. There's not a cell in my body that says it's Andy and another says it's Drew, another says it's Ash, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It's all part of Drew.
Yeah.
But this Drew is a cell of the creator of the universe, just like every one of, the cells I'm looking at now are all cells of it too. So recognizing we're part of God is part of this spiritual journey we're on too. Understanding that you're part of it and everything around you is, because if you understand you're part of God, you're part of this universe and everything is around you is connected, it affects your actions. It affects your everyday actions. It affects how you view the sunset, how you view the sunrise, how you view a bird in the air. It affects how you communicate when you start to get an argument or something like that. It affects everything. It affects how you love. It affects how you fight. It affects everything. But understanding that you're part of everything around you is something that has to be experienced to fully understand. These conversations that we're having now bring up the questions in people's mind and bring up the possibility for the experience to happen in the viewer or the listener. And that's the overall goal of every single one. Every time I talk is that's my goal, is not for you to believe what I'm talking about, but for you to hear what I'm talking about and open up the question of you going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally get that. Ash. Yeah. He's nodding.
Yeah. No,
He's happy.
It's something that I've never really, like this whole subject is something I've never ever even really considered before, even talked about. But it just makes so much sense when you actually kind of consider it, and what Drew's talking about. It's kind of something that we all know, but it's kind of just so unearthing it. It's kind of just realizing it. Yeah, I guess that's the kind of the awakening side of it, is like just realizing that and becoming part of that. Don't want to say community, but that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Towards it.
Yeah. It's the way it's designed, and we're living through it. This is why people in the past, when we've had biblical moments, prophetic moments and stuff, there was people that come forward and stood on a rock and yelled out these things that they believe, and it opened questions in people's mind in the group that was listening. And this is no different. This is me standing on a rock and saying, okay, this is what I experience. Like, hopefully you can experience maybe what I'm talking about is opening up a question in your mind, and you go out and experience it yourself. Like, the dream state. I've had too many things happen in the dream state and then manifest in the physical for me not to believe that the dream state is connected to the physical, and that's me. That's my truth. That's not, that's why, I don't ever want to be a cult leader or anything like that, or I don't want to be a guru or any.
Oh, don't know what happened then.
All right. My bad.
Oh, was it you? I thought I didn't press anything this time. I was not touching anything. It's all right. We had enough. Do you want to go on? No,
Mic drop.
It's fine. Right, I've got a couple of questions for both of you.
Give it to me.
We've got 15 minutes left, so I will do these. First one is from Fred Flintstone, and he's asking, has Drew ever had any cryptid activity around his home?
Cryptid would be like Bigfoot or something like that.
Bigfoot, Dogman, aliens, spirits.
Not not around my home, but there's in this valley I've experienced Bigfoot in a Uwhippie ceremony. Uwhippie ceremony, Yuwippi, Uwhippie. Look it up, listeners, and or look up Black Elk Speaks is a famous Uwhippie man. But I have experienced 3 of these ceremonies in person, and I can tell you firsthand that some crazy things happen to them. If you want to go more in depth to them, buy my first book on Amazon. I'm perfect, and so are you. But I go way in depth into my experiences in the Uwhippie ceremony, way in depth into my experiences with Bigfoot, Sasquatch. But my stance on Sasquatch is it's an interdimensional being. It's not a physical being, because I was in a room, a closed room, during a Uwhippie ceremony, closed door, locked door, closed windows, locked windows, totally shut. I witnessed, experienced firsthand, face-to-face encounter with a Bigfoot, and he entered and exited, he or she, whatever it is. I don't know if it has pronouns or not, but it entered and exited out of that room without using any traditional forms of entry. So, and then I had a experience, a shared experience with that face-to-face, which was witnessed by one other person sitting beside me. There was 50 people in the room, but one person beside me actually witnessed the same thing. And I had an experience like a week later where I had a dream where I went through the experience of having the face-to-face encounter with Bigfoot, but from the perspective of looking through the Bigfoot's eyes. I talk about that in great detail in my first book and several other interviews out there. So,
excellent, thank you. Right, so what's the name of your first book? So
I'm perfect, and so are you. I'm perfect, and so are you. It's on Amazon, and the second one is Find Your Inner Guru, which the first one, kind of the premise behind it is basically it shares a couple of my stories, what led up to my awakening moment or ascension moment or whatever you want to call it. And then the second book, Find Your Inner Guru, is aims to tackle the question of what happens after your moment, what happens after your 7-gram mushroom experience or your near-death experience, or having to fallen in the mountains and not being found for 4 days or whatever, and being taken care of by wolves, whatever it is, whatever crazy experience it is that opened you up. What happens after that, and what do you do with it? How do you integrate that? How do you still go to the store with the understanding of these really deep understandings? And it's the answer ultimately is it's the integration is the ultimate part of it. What we see in ceremonies, meditation, whatever it is, or reading a book by a famous author, that's whatever it is that leads you to that moment. It's not about the lead up. It's ultimately we're chasing answers so we can live a different life, a more free life, so we can have more love, whatever it is. The journey is about learning it and then integrating into our life. So that's ultimately what the second book is about. And both of them is done with my co-author and ghostwriter, Colleen Giron. She's a PhD. So has a very interesting perspective to share with some of the stuffs. And I'm excited what they're gonna do, especially after this whale interview drops. I'm really interested to see how fast it's gonna spread. So,
cool. Right, sorry, I'm just getting the link for your book. There we go. That should.
Jojo, thanks for the support. I see a comment there. I got both of my books.
Yeah.
Thanks for the support, Jojo. Enjoy. You're ever in the States and find me at an event and bring your books, I will sign them on the spot.
There you go. Joe, you need to get your passport sorted and get over there. She does. She won't, but she does. Right. Got 2 more questions for both of you. So this is from Darren, our baby with a laser. So Drew, thoughts on grounding, and Ash, can it chase? Any experiences there? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Ash.
Go on then. Yeah, a few. Absolutely love Can It Chase. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing place. We were there a few weeks ago. And in my latest episode, just plugging my podcast, my latest episode, which came out this Tuesday, it was when me and Andy went to Can It Chase, doing some live investigations and stuff. Nothing much really happened that time.
No.
We had some weird voices.
We heard them voices in the bushes.
I got so many comments.
Weird.
When I put the episode out on Tuesday, I had so many messages and emails saying, because I put in some like weird, witchy,
Yeah.
into it, and it caught out so many listeners. And I got so many messages saying that absolutely freaked me out putting their messages in. I was like, what voices I put in and stuff like that. But yeah, apart from that, this time we didn't get much. In the past, when I've been, we've had some stuff happen around Castle Ring.
Need to go there. Need to go back there.
Insane results on we did the Essence Method of the Spirit Box, and just some of the stuff that I was hearing through the Spirit Box that wasn't I knew it wasn't part of the feed. It was 2 strong voices, a male and a female, that were constantly at each other. It wasn't like, there's no way it could have been through the radio channels or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I was getting names of people that I was with in the group. And I was getting basically, I had a thought, and then the voice came through the Spirit Box, answered my thought to me. So I was like, it's like it knew what I was thinking. And that was really, really weird. So a couple of experiences that I can't really explain. Yeah, loving waiting to go back next time. Yeah,
but
I go on my own. I don't mind it. I go on my own again.
I know, but he won't go in his basement. He's mad.
I can't chase 2 o'clock on my own in the middle of the night. That's fine. Go daytime with the light on in my own basement. Can't do it.
But can we just say about when I thought there was loads of weird stuff going on, and you're sat on the bench outside the pub laughing, and it was. Do you not remember? So there's another guy. Sober had gone. He had to go because he was going to work early. Just really quick with this one, and I needed the toilet, so I went and stood behind the back of my car. There's no one about, but it was like out of the way, and I heard someone talking. Right, I'm like, but it was right under this pub, and the window was open. I think they might have had the TV on. And I'm Ash. What are you saying? And he's laughing. He goes, "You say it's not you?" He goes, "It's not me saying it." But there's an house over the road, and he must have let his dog out into the back garden. The back garden was like, the wall of it was at the side of the house. So I'm having a pee. This guy's shouting to his dog, and I'm answering him thinking it's that. And you know when you get caught in the moment, you don't know what's going on. And I just felt like, this is just so weird. I don't know what's happening right now. And I look over the top of the car, and he just sat on the bench laughing. I think that was the most weird thing that went on. Gotta be on it. It's gotta be.
That time. Oh, me followed that on my way home. That was the.
Oh, you got followed.
So when I went to the German War Cemetery on my own.
Yeah.
And as I was getting close to it, bear in mind this is like 1:30, whatever time it was.
Yeah, we left just after 12, didn't we?
Yeah, so it's probably about 1:00-ish. And bear in mind there's nobody around at all. I've not seen one car on the drive across the other side of Can It Chase.
Yeah.
And then as I was going to turn right towards the War Cemetery, a car's coming the other way, like coming out the junction I was going to turn into. But I carried on going because I thought I need to know where the main road is, because it's all like weird one-lane country roads. I wanted to know my escape route if I needed it. I needed to know where I was driving to, but I had to get out fast. So I carried on driving, and this car pulled out of the junction and turned left to go the way I had just come from. It's
Right.
like, okay, fair enough. But then in my rearview mirror, it spun round in the road and started coming behind me. So I was like, crap. I thought, is it a copper? Like, it's
Men in
early hours
black.
of the morning. Could be a copper, like, seeing what I'm up to, blah, blah, blah. But I followed it, but it stayed a distance behind. He just followed me. I thought, I'm going to keep driving. I'm going to try and get towards some kind of like kind of built up area. Just because this car's following me. I don't want to stop this
Civilization.
car behind me. No one knows where I am. Like, anything can happen right now.
Yeah.
So carry on driving. It kept the same distance behind me. So it's not a copper because he's not got any ground on me. He's just following me now.
Yeah.
And I went through a couple of roundabouts. He followed me around the corner, up round the roundabouts. Like, he's following me, this guy. And I got to another roundabout and I turned. He went straight on and it was just a black van. But it went, so I was like, okay, cool. Went back to the war cemetery and then, yeah, that was it. So that was like, the weirdest thing was being followed by a black van randomly. It could have been a genuine mistake. Who turned left but wanted to go right. But it's just weird how he turned left and then I was seeing him do a U-turn in my mirror.
What you should have done is go to a roundabout and do a full 360.
360.
That's what I'd have done, I think. And if they do the same, it's like, you got to get home. You don't hang about.
I thought, do we go now? But yeah, so I went to the war cemetery.
I just think you're mad. But anyway, right. Second part of the question for Drew. Recommendations how to stay grounded.
Feet on the ground, bare feet on the ground, and feet in water too, like natural bodies of water, ponds, streams, lakes, oceans, feet in the water is great. And just with anything, it's not just about the physical action, like it's coupled with your mental, what you're thinking about that time. So thinking about, grounding and releasing or becoming more balanced while you're doing it is good thoughts. And also showers, whenever you take your shower in the morning or anything like that, take a few, like I said at the beginning of this interview, take a few extra seconds even after you get done with your wash and just close your eyes and envision this water cleansing anything negative and washing down the drain. Like try to visualize that and visualize like the water coming in, as pureness and bringing in, anything that you're lacking in your body, mind, body, spirit, and trying to just balance and align. That's the overall mantra or, thought that you want to have. Very simply, it's gratitude for the moment, being in the moment. That's another key thing, like being in the moment, not giving a lot of your energy to things that happened in the past or things that might happen in the future. Like be in the moment, like where you're at, if you're with your family or whatever, be with your family. If you're out on vacation, take some pictures and stuff, but also take some time to not have your phone on you and just be in the moment. But be in the moment anyways, a couple times if you're having awakening symptoms or something like that, go on a walk a couple times a week, leave your phone, let someone know where you're going or whatever, and be in a safe area, but just be in the moment with the earth, and envision yourself as a conduit in between Father Sky and Mother Earth. There's energy going through you. That's a scientific fact. It's going through your hands, your meridian points. It's coming out the bottom of your feet. So when we walk with bare feet on the ground, that's a very effective thing to do. The more that we do that, the more beneficial it is. Being out in the sun, it's a science. It's starting to become fact now and not just theory. That our body, there's organs in our body, functions in our body that require sunlight, and they require. So we, if you do have an office job, if you're a 9-to-5 office job or something like that, try to go out and get sun on the weekends or after work or before work. Like try to get 20 minutes of sunlight. I think they suggest 2 hours of sunlight a day or something like that for body functions. But there's studies that are coming out and it's starting. This is fact that there are functions in your body that require sunlight to function properly. You know, if you have a vitamin D deficiency, the answer is not going to the pharmacy and getting more pills. It's going out. That's a sign from the universe that you need to get your ass out and find more sun.
Yeah. Well, I just put a thing up then when you saying about water and all that. I know I keep going on about it, but I think everyone should do this. I literally bought a kayak, inflatable kayak. It is there. That's one that I've got. And I
Look at that.
Right, get this.
Captain of that ship.
This is so not me. I joined a sailing club yesterday.
Damn. Like a Navy SEAL.
So I've joined a sailing club. There's like 7 or 8 different reservoirs and that I can go to, and I can just go on and on when I want. They've got restaurants, cafes, changing facilities. I thought you just got to get changed at your car and go in and out and then drive home all wet. It's like, no, you can go in and like it's proper changing rooms like a gym. And they have outdoor and indoor social events that I can go to. I can take the missus with me, and it's all in your membership. And I cannot wait to get in the water.
Good.
Nice.
Dude, a stream or a water that's moving. Think of the stream as like a representation of the spirit world and how it moves. You know, you can get in that kayak and you can kind of steer it, but ultimately you're at the mercy of that water. You know, a person that kayaks, anyone that's ever been in a boat or anything like that, like even if it has a big ass engines or multiple engines, ultimately you're at even the biggest ships that go on the ocean. Those pilots and stuff, they know they have a deep spiritual understanding. Like they're at the mercy of it.
Yeah.
And when you're in a kayak in a raging water, dude, it's a spiritual experience. Like
I don't think it's going to be very raging. It's like 7 mile all the way around, like the perimeter.
Well, it's like a lazy river.
Yeah. So it's just, I'm just going to get in it and like get to grips with it. But this summer, do you know when you get a calling? It's that, because we spoke about it. Baby with a Laser, Simon, somebody else, I can't think who it was, been speaking about it over the last few weeks. And it's just, you just get that idea. And like Baby with a Laser said, if you think of something for, I think, 17 seconds, it then becomes a reality. And the more you think about it, like you were saying before, the sharper it gets and the more real it becomes. It only takes like 7 or 17 seconds. I can't remember what he said. And it's just, it feels right. So I've got my license, it's got a Paddle UK license, so you can go like the rivers and that around the UK, but that covers your insurance. So if you crash into anyone or you injure yourself, you're all covered. But then I thought, if I join, I can't believe I've joined sailing club. It's just so weird, that on its own. But then it's like, it's literally 5-minute drive from where I live up to this double 7 mile round.
What made you get into this? What made you do this?
It's something I need to do. But I'm going to do some streams from the streams, pun intended. But I'm going to do some and put it on YouTube of me out and about and what have you.
Well, there's discernment. You know, there's a discernment on things like that. You know, and I get a calling and feel I need to go do this. You know, if it involves go out and doing on a Coke bender, you know, and going to Mexico and going on a Coke bender and something like that. Those are urges. That's called discernment. But things like this, you know, we need to listen to that more. You know, we need to listen to ourselves. Like this, there's too many of us, whether it be over there, or over here, or anywhere in the world, that's stuck in like this idea of what we're supposed to do. You know, to be good citizens or whatever. You know, we're supposed to pay our taxes. We're supposed to do this. We're supposed to do that. You know, we're supposed to have our job. We're supposed to be part of the economy and all that other shit. Like, and we're not supposed to question. You know, we're not supposed to question our politicians. We're not supposed to question our government. And you know, we go to the doctor and we're supposed to take the medications that the doctors tell us and all this stuff. But there's there's so many things like through this awakening. There's so many professions and things that are going to fade away. You know, just think about the pharmaceutical industry, what they're going to look like in 20 years or 30 years or 5 years. You know, just the pharmaceutical industry, like it's moving rapidly. Of the use of psychedelics, the use of ethanogens, of these old ways, it's spreading and it's starting to become more and more accepted and widespread. And the understanding of these prescription and pharmaceutical medications are starting to be understood. But you're threatening massive industries that are worth trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, you know. And there's going to be pushback, but I think in the end, I think we're going to get through this awakening, and I think we're in the middle of it, man.
Yeah, definitely, totally agree. Ash, as we come to the end, because we're going to have to wrap it up very, very soon.
Yeah.
Are you just laughing at the comments?
I am laughing at the comments. I was imagining us two in a kayak. Yeah.
I've still not got a name for it. It'll come to me as and when. So, yeah. Well, massive thank you, Drew, for coming on again. And
I always have a good time, man. It's a good time. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So you come on again and talk some more about everything that's going on and how you're getting on and how the world's treating us all. Yeah.
I'm always down, dude. Just let me know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so you've sent your links out. People have subbed to your channel. If you send them me, I think I've already put them in the description. I'm not 100% because I can't see it at the moment, but I'm sure they're all in there. 99%.
Yeah, the social medias, you can find me. Just look up my name, Drew Bankey. You can find me on social media. The website, Sacred Journeys Within, it's spelled right there. sacredjourneyswithin.com. There's a question real quick. What's Drew's view on AI? AI is part of the creation. It's AI is showing us in a physical way how far the spiritual way can go out, of how detailed it can get, how mind-blowing it can get. AI's open up those questions. So everything that we see happening in the spirit world is happening in the physical world and vice versa. They're all connected. So AI, I see it as part of the creation, just as like everything else.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I didn't even see that question. I'm glad you picked up on it. I'm too busy trying to sort everything else out. Just quickly before I go, I'm at a film festival thing in London tomorrow. Fingers crossed, I'll be doing some live streams from there, interviewing people. They're all going to be short and sweet, probably like 10-15 minutes at the most. I'm going to do some recording as well, and I'm going to bring some other things back from that. So I will keep you all updated on that. I will get around to editing the documentary that I'm going to be doing. I've got everything I need now, so I can start cracking on with that. That's it. So thank you, Ash, for coming on and being a great co-host. Thank you, Drew, for coming on. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you, everyone listening on podcast. Thank you to people that are now joining the membership through Patreon and donating through PayPal. That's helping so much. And no, I'm not using that to go towards a kayak. That's already sorted. That's separate, I promise you. But and this is why with the support for the channel gives me the opportunity to go out and do these things, because without it I couldn't do it, and I wouldn't have the enthusiasm to do it if it wasn't for you like guests, co-hosts and viewers. So really do appreciate every single one of you, so thank you all so much. So please
I'll put towards a life jacket for you.
I've got one. I had to get one. It's a law apparently, so there you go. Well, yeah, if anyone wants to come along and join in, you're more than welcome. And I'm going to be going out and doing some filming different parts of the UK, rivers, streams, wherever. Just where I can go without getting arrested, I'm going to be there. So fingers crossed, I'm going to get some good stuff. So yeah, massive thank you, everyone. Look out for streams tomorrow. I will be back on Monday, but I'm not going to give anything away. It will be 8:30 UK time, 3:30 EST, 12:30 noon PST. And they're the only time zones that I can remember at the moment. So that's it. And this is the network that we're going to be going through, the Next network, Paranormal Radio. So we're going to be put on there. Like I said, I don't know if it's this one or the next one, but it will be on there in the next couple of weeks, all being well. So we're going to end this now. Anyone have anything to add before I boot us all off?
No, just check out Locked In with Ian Bick, and share it with your friends, and along with this episode too, like share this with your friends, and go in and just type in my name on YouTube, and there's over 100 different interviews I've done on so many different subjects. So check them all out, give them all love, and the more love I get, the bigger chance I get of getting that big Joe Rogan interview one day. So
yes, I think we all want that, don't we?
Oh yeah, let's all get on there together.
Tell you what, I want to interview Joe Rogan. That's what I want to do.
Yeah,
I want to switch it. That would be good.
Yeah, I heard it costs. I heard it costs about $500K.
Oh, that won't be happening then. I'll have to sit with you, Ash. No offense, but you're so much more fun. So it's
you just got to go to Austin and go to his comedy club and catch him.
Yeah,
that's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stalk the shit out of him and just catch him.
Yeah. Keep us updated. Perfect. Right. So thank you, everyone.
Much love, everybody. I appreciate it.
Have a wonderful weekend, and catch you on Monday at 8:30 and sometime throughout the day tomorrow. So take care. Peace out. Bye-bye.
Peace out.